welcome back. We're going to get working on the muscular system. So I kind of gave you a little bit of overkill of videos already for the muscular system. Crash course is really in depth. I kind of wanted to hit it hard so that when I start explaining, you've already kind of seen a lot of this previously. And then also I threw a video in there about origin and insertion for muscles. This was something that I struggled with personally in college, and I just couldn't get right when I was in college, and now it would be just difficult for me to explain anyway. So I thought that video was actually really, really good at explaining it and simplifying it. So we'll get working on the muscular system. All right, so this is section 5 of chapter 7. So you have a lot of muscles in the body. I'm not going to ask you necessarily to memorize all of the muscles in the body. Okay, that's just memorizing names. And generally, when we talk about locations anatomically, we're going to refer more to the bone location as opposed to the individual muscle, since a lot of them overlap. You saw in the videos that essentially your muscle fibers, there's multiple bundles of muscle fibers that are held together with a connective tissue called a fascia. And those units all work together in an entire muscle unit. Okay. Every muscle has the same 4 things about it. They are excitable, they are contractible, they are extensible, and then they are elastic. So excitability, this is the ability to respond to a nerve impulse, right? So your brain can tell it what to do. So your brain has to be able to tell it what to do. Contractibility, okay? These muscle fibers need to be able to shorten to be able to create movement. That's their whole purpose. They need to be extensible, so they need to be stretched back out, or at least have the ability to be. And then they need to be elastic, so it needs to be able to return to its original shape, no matter what, whether it's been extended or contracted. Okay, so those 4, I mean, those are absolutely, absolutely going to be necessary things to know. So there are 3 different kinds of muscles. Okay, so there's cardiac muscle. This means pertaining to the heart. All right, then there's visceral muscle, also known as smooth muscle. This is the muscle of your organs. And then there's skeletal muscle, right? Skeletal muscle are the muscles that attach to your bones. And those are the ones that are able to move your body from point A to point B. So you need to know that you cannot just control every muscle in your body. Okay, your body actually inherently controls most of the muscles in your body. So cardiac muscle, so your heart muscle, this is involuntary. Cardiac muscle has its own intrinsic electrical system, and they have intercalated discs in between each muscle unit in heart muscle, and that's what makes it so unique. That's why we learn about the sinoatrial node and the AV node and the bundle of His and the bundle branches, so the Purkinje fibers, which we'll go into specifically with the cardiovascular system. But you need to know the cardiac muscle is not voluntary. We do not personally control it. We have automated processes in our body that controls it, which makes it an involuntary muscle. Visceral or smooth muscle, this is also involuntary, right? Because we don't think about telling our intestines to digest our food or telling our ureters to move the urea from our kidneys to our bladder, right? Then we have the skeletal muscle. So these are the only ones that are really voluntary. We do have some involuntary mechanisms like shivering can be partially involuntary. But in general, skeletal muscle is voluntary. So we tell our own body when to get up and walk to the bathroom, or we tell our body to wave to somebody, right? So in general, our movements of our skeleton are voluntary. We choose to make them. Now, Muscles attach to your bones by way of tendons, right, to provide movement. They can produce heat and energy, right? So when we're cold, our natural mechanism in our body is to shiver. And we shiver because when our muscles expand or extend and contract, then a byproduct of that is heat, right? So if you went to go run a mile right now in the freezing cold, you may still actually sweat or you may warm up, and that's because a byproduct of expending energy and the movement is heat. Muscles help you maintain your posture, okay? And then they also protect your internal organs. Now, talked a little bit about how a muscle attaches to a bone, and it attaches by way of a tendon. So if you remember back to section 4, which is the skeletal system, your bones are connected to each other through what are called ligaments, and those are connective tissue, right? They're made of connective tissue. Your tendons are also connective tissue, but they specialize in attaching muscle to bone. Okay. Then we have fascia. Fascia is that really tough connective tissue that holds all our muscles together. It's also what holds our muscles to the tendons. Okay. Remember how we talked about the different muscle units? And all those units come together to form the muscle itself. All right. Then we have origin and insertion. So origin is, think about like original when you think of origin. So when I think of origin, I think of where this muscle starts, the origin, the start, and then where it inserts, where it ends. Okay, so the immovable end of a muscle where it connects to a bone is the origin. Okay, and then the end that moves is the insertion point. So this was in that video. And then you can have multiple origins or multiple insertions. So if you look at the biceps brachii, okay, there's two, right? That's where biceps gets its name from. Bi means two. There's two muscles here. And even though they have one insertion, right, they have two origins. All right, so your muscles all work together in order to get your body to move, but these movements have individual names for them. Okay, and this is going to also kind of help name the muscles themselves, because you have adductors and you have abductor muscles. That's in the name. All right, so abduction is where you're pulling things away from your body. It's away from your body. Adduction is where you're pulling things towards your body, like you're adding to the center mass of your body. So I always was able to remember adduction because adding, right? You bring your arms towards your body, you're adding to the center mass of your body. And I think abduction is just the opposite of adduction. So that's how I was always able to remember this. But you can do this with your legs as well. If you were to spread your legs apart, it would be abduction. If you brought them together, it would be adduction. Okay. Now, flexion is another movement of muscles. So think of like if somebody wants to flex their muscles, they usually flex their biceps for you. It's very common. Okay, so flexing is literally where you shorten the muscle in order to create movement. And it shortens and thickens the muscle. All right. Extension is where you extend the muscle out. You straighten it out. Okay. So extension is literally the stretching of the muscle out. All right. So rotation, this is a movement of your muscles where it doesn't go in a complete circle, but it goes in a circular motion. Okay, so you can rotate your head around left to right, but it doesn't spin around unless you're in The Exorcist. That's a joke. And then you can rotate your arms, you can rotate your legs, okay? But they don't actually go in a complete circle. That's rotation. Then we have circumduction. Circumduction is the ability to be able to move something in a complete circle. So you can circumduct your arms and you can circumduct your legs. If you've ever done ballet, they have what's called a rond de jambe en terre and a rond de jambe en l'air. Rond de jambe en terre is a rounding of the leg on the ground, and rond de jambe en l'air is a rounding of the leg in the air. And you literally make a circumduction movement by moving the leg in a circular motion. Okay. If you've ever tried to work out your shoulders, a good warm-up exercise would be arm circumduction, right? Where you stick both your arms out to the sides and you rotate them in circles, but it's full circles, so it would be a circumduction. Okay. So there is a term called muscle tone. Muscle tone is the state of your muscles being able to contract at all times. Okay. And your muscles don't just stay completely relaxed. When they extend, they're still partially contracted. All right. And then it allows your muscles to be ready to contract again and flex or extend. Okay. When you have a loss of muscle tone, this is where your muscles kind of weaken or break down. And if it's abnormal, it's a disease process. But when we don't exercise, our muscle tone actually goes down. All right. So we'll get into diseases and abnormal conditions. So there's only 6 of them that that I really want you to know. So this is going to be your assignment that comes out of this video. And this is what we're going to be presenting on Monday. Okay, so fibromyalgia, muscular dystrophy, Duchenne's dystrophy, myasthenia gravis, muscle spasms or cramps, as well as strains. So I'll be splitting these up amongst you, and I will be emailing you your assignment to be able to present these on Monday. But each of you is kind of going to get 2. So we'll be going through the signs and symptoms, the causes, any treatments or cures, and any sort of medications that would be involved as well. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to find a few more videos that will help make this information easier for you, and I'll get those uploaded as well.